Good Monday morning to you. June 10th, 2024, 7:35 in the morning. It's a real pleasure to have a guest in studio with us this morning, Joel Extine, who is the chair of the Warren County Libertarian Party. Has agreed to join us this morning and share a little bit about this is a local political talk show. We dabble in a lot of things, but primary politics and what government is or isn't doing. Joel and I met, I don't know, maybe a year or so ago. It's been not long, maybe. I don't know, maybe less. And we've had lots of good conversations since then. I thought it would be fantastic for the listeners to, we talk a lot about Democrats and Republicans here, but there are other parties that are out there. Good morning to you, Joel.
Good morning, Slim. Thanks for having me on. I certainly appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
I've always been told I've got a good face for radio, so
you and I are in the same category when it comes to that. Tell us a little bit about what the Warren County Libertarian Party is about.
Okay.
And how people might be able to get involved.
Sure thing. Libertarian Party of Warren County. We're an affiliate of the Kentucky Party, which is, of course, an affiliate of the National Party. So the Libertarian Party is the fastest growing third party in the country. And it's, the old parties, we feel, typically don't represent the people anymore. And so we're here to give those, the disenfranchised folks, those folks who feel like, their voice isn't being heard, we're here to give them a third option,
And when you hear people, for clarification, when I hear people who are registering independent now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're registering libertarian, that there are... Is it fair to say there are several independent parties? Are all parties that aren't Democrat and Republican considered independents?
No, not necessarily. You've got, if you register independent, you are independent. You are your own entity. You are it, however, if you register, it's the same as Republican or Democrat. If you register one of those parties, well, you're one of them.
Right.
If you register Libertarian, you're a Libertarian.
So you can register Libertarian, or you can go in and register
Green parties out there.
Any of those other parties.
Exactly.
All right. You recently you were a delegate to the national convention.
Yes.
Where the Libertarian Party selected their candidate for president. Tell us a little bit about how that went. I believe former President Trump was there to make a pitch.
He was. But I got started on the campaign trail over a year ago with Mike Maat. He showed up at our Kentucky convention, and I got on his campaign. He seems like a really good guy. He's really got it together, got a lot of great experience. So I started out with his campaign. And, of course, then we went. My wife Bethany and I went out to Washington, D.C. as delegates. That was a very interesting time. And, the National Party, the National Libertarian Party, I'm not sure exactly what their game plan was in bringing Trump and RFK out there to our convention, but it certainly worked in getting the media attention out there for us, which has been lacking in previous election cycles.
And do you think that could have just been the goal?
Possibly.
Because it would be unusual, not unheard of, I guess, but it would be unusual for a party to select as their candidate for the highest office in the state somebody who is, in fact, not a registered member of their party.
Right.
Which neither Trump nor RFK are. Is that accurate?
Right. Well, at the time, Trump was not. He was not even going to be eligible, but I guess RFK was, but still he got shot down too. You don't come to somebody else's party seeking the nomination. They just it wasn't pretty. They just got booed, and rightfully so.
Right. And so who did the candidate?
Chase Oliver.
Okay.
Got the nomination.
Let me back up a little bit. You were supporting Tremont?
Yes, Mike Tremont.
And he was in there but didn't receive enough delegates.
Right. So what happened was, as the voting went on, so people were being eliminated with each round, and then it came down to, Mike wasn't going to, he knew he wasn't going to make it at that point. So he was wheeling and dealing, talking with other candidates. And it worked out that, Chase was going to be a good place for him. And so they kind of merged. And pretty much everybody that was voting for Mike Termott then voted, went to vote for Chase.
It sounds to me like the Libertarian National Convention works like conventions used to work.
Yes.
Now in the Republican and Democrat Party, if you only take those two, it's like a foregone conclusion. It's the National Convention really just seems like a party for delegates, as opposed to we're actually going to get there, work on policy.
It's not decision making. Is that what you're saying?
It's not decision making.
Right.
Is what I would think. This sounds like much more decision making is occurring in the moment.
Exactly. We elected our candidates. And we also reelected the National Executive Committee, the XCOM. We went through voting to get them reelected. We established who the National Party is. We go through and do all that.
Tell us a little bit about Chase Oliver.
He's from Georgia, liberty-minded, anti-war. He stands for, if you go to lp.org, and look up the platform, he backs each and every one of those to a T. He is a very based libertarian, and he sticks by those principles.
I've seen a few things, honestly, on your Facebook feed. You and I are friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
I enjoy following the feed. And I have seen some people who claim to be libertarians say that he's not really a libertarian.
Right. There is, within the party, just like any organization, any organization,
Sure.
you're going to have riffraff. You're going to have people that don't agree. You're going to have differences of opinions, and in the Libertarian Party especially, you get a wide range of opinions out there, and so naturally you're going to have people who, aren't going to see eye to eye on this. There are things about him that people will nitpick,
Sure,
and blow out of proportion. One of them being his views on different things. They're taking those and they're twisting it and they're blowing it out of proportion into something that it's not.
Yeah.
And, those things will eventually go away.
Sure.
They'll get subdued as the real word gets out.
But in your opinion, as the chair of the Libertarian Party, he is a libertarian and a libertarian candidate who believes in libertarian principles.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I've met him numerous times and shook his hand and talked to him about his views and his stances. And he's a very based libertarian.
Yeah.
He's the issues out there that people talk about, and it's mainly social issues. Social issues. And as far as I'm concerned, social issues are things that shouldn't even be in national politics, because it's just...
That's kind of a libertarian principle, is it not?
Right.
That should, if handled at all, it should be handled locally.
Yes.
If somebody is sitting out there listening and they've heard, because you and I talked about before the segment started, that sometimes people think they know what the Libertarian Party is about, but maybe they really don't. They've heard something that comes along. For example, they've heard somebody they're a libertarian type candidate.
Yeah.
But they're not really. If you had an elevator speech to give somebody on what the Libertarian Party is, what does that 30 to 60 minute spiel look like?
Well, the simplest is
30 to 60 second. I'm sorry.
Okay. The simplest is, don't hurt people and don't take their stuff.
Oh, if it broke down to that,
that's that simple. You don't hurt people and you don't take their stuff. And so in that philosophy, that's where we come up with things like, hey, taxation is theft because they're taking somebody's stuff, they're taking their money. So I'm asking questions here. If taxation is theft, how do things like roads get built? I'm glad you asked. See, when I was on the campaign trail with Mike Termott, one of his ideas was to put out a book, and it's called A Gold New Deal: The Government We Will Tolerate. And in that book, one of the guys who was a candidate for us, let me pull this up here, Larry Sharp, he was a libertarian candidate of ours up in New York, and he's got a great chapter in here about how the private sector will pay for all these roads and bridges and everything. He's from New York, so the bridges are a big thing up there.
Sure.
They're in disarray and falling apart and everything, and they need repairs. So just like they do with the ball stadiums, these big corporations will put their name on it. Hey, this will now be the AT&T bridge in New York, and AT&T will pay for the Amazon. Amazon's got their shipping and everything, or UPS, all these shipping companies. They want their roads to ship their products on. They're going to pay to fix these roads, and they're going to do. He breaks it down into how the contracts would work and how they would look and all that. But there's a lot of ways that the free market can accommodate for things like that.
What do you say? This is the question. When I talk to people that I was going to have the Libertarian Party on, because I want to have political discussion on this show, whether you and I agree or disagree, is really kind of irrelevant to me. I want to have the discussion about it, and so the listeners can participate and be involved. What do you say to the people who say the Libertarian candidate is not likely to win the presidency, and therefore they're just bleeding, which is what I heard over the weekend, just bleeding votes off the other traditional candidates? As if, and the thing that I push back on is, you make it sound as if the other traditional candidates are chosen to win. How would you push back on that as a libertarian?
Yeah, as a libertarian, I would push back on that by saying, well, yeah, of course they're not going to win if you don't support them. It's easy to kick back and say, oh, they're not going to win, I'm not going to support them.
Right.
But what people fail to realize that this isn't sports. We're not watching the big game on TV.
Right.
So it's not about picking who's right and picking who's going to win and who's going to lose. That's not important here.
Yeah.
The important thing is to pick who's right.
Right.
And, whose policies are going to benefit this country, if we take libertarianism down to the local level here, what would that look like? Right. Less government, less interference in the market, less taxation. People will get to keep more of their own money. I mean,
got it. If people wanted to be involved in the local Libertarian Party, how can they do so?
LPKY.org.
LPKY.org. And you also mentioned something about on Mondays that you guys do maybe a trivia?
Yes, right? Overtime, Sports Bar and Grill.
Over off of Campbell Lane.
Yes, over off Campbell Lane. They do a trivia event there through Brain Blast Trivia. And they set up out there and do just a trivia event. And the local Libertarian Party, we go out there and do the trivia. We like to compete in the trivia event. And then we take our winnings, and we've been piling them together. And they give you like gift certificates for overtime when you win. So we've been piling those up, and we're going to use it for some kind of charitable, something or other eventually here. But.
So is it all libertarian type trivia, or is it just trivia in general?
It's Brain Blast Trivia. It's just trivia in general. Just general, sports, politics, movies, TV shows, current events, all that kind of stuff.
And if people wanted to show up and learn about the Libertarian Party, they could show up and do so?
Yeah, they can talk. We posted on the LPKY website on their calendar, and we've had random guests just show up and just want to talk to us and play trivia with us, and it's always a good time.
Fantastic. One more time. It's Monday nights at what time?
6 p.m. is when it starts.
Okay. And the local website, or the Kentucky Libertarian page, the website is what?
LPKY.org.
And then if they wanted to see the national platform,
that's just LP.org.
Got it.
And then there's also our candidate, votechaseoliver.com.
Okay, fantastic. Joel Extine, chair of the Warren County Libertarian Party.
Extine.
Is that right?
Extine.
I've known you for a year, and I've been saying it wrong. Extine.
Extine, yes.
Well, your son Rex has been very kind not to correct me every time I've said his last name wrong. Joel Extine, chair of the Warren County Libertarian Party. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us. We'd love to have you back sometime.
Thanks for having me, Slim. I appreciate it.
It is 7:49. This News with Al Arbogast is brought to you by Johnson Von Phelps Funeral Home, 901 Fairview Avenue. Al?
A national chain is coming to a vacant space at the shops at Gary Farms. The New Jersey-based Burlington Coat Factory plans to open a store at the shopping center at 2300 Gary Farms Boulevard.